She's glamorous, she's fearless, and now she's officially the wife of the world's richest man. But no matter how Lauren Sanchez carries herself, the spotlight always questions her motives. Is she a fortune hunter, a mastermind behind the scenes, or just a woman entangled in the high-stakes drama of love power and billion-dollar headlines? Tonight we unravel the rumors, challenge the stereotypes, and reveal the truth behind the woman who captured Jeff Bezos' heart and why her name has Hollywood talking non-stop. Whenever a woman steps into extreme wealth through marriage, judgment follows like a shadow. Lauren Sanchez, now Mrs. Jeff Bezos, finds herself caught in that exact storm where achievements are ignored and assumptions take center stage. And those assumptions only grow louder when the man beside her is one of the wealthiest individuals in human history. When she said "I do" to Bezos, the world held its breath not just for the lavish celebration, but to dissect her every move. The wedding was a spectacle, a billionaire fairy tale, but what made headlines wasn't the romance, it was the suspicion. People didn't want to see the love. They wanted to question the legitimacy of it. This is the curse of women linked to power. They're rarely seen as equals. And in Lauren's case, her story isn't rare, but the scale of scrutiny is unmatched. From day one, her relationship with Bezos became a symbol not of love, but of controversy. To many, the very idea that a former news anchor and helicopter pilot could marry the founder of Amazon wasn't inspiring, it was incriminating. And that says a lot more about society than it does about her. They dismissed her years in journalism, ignored her achievements as a licensed pilot, and overlooked her work as a producer in aerial cinematography. Her business ventures, her creative drive, her professional grit, all reduced to a single loaded word: opportunist. It's a label that clings to women in proximity to power, following them like an unshakable shadow. No matter how brightly they shine, that shadow always manages to creep back in. What makes it even more frustrating and frankly disturbing is how unevenly that judgment is handed out. When men show ambition, we call it vision. When women do the same, it's manipulation. But Lauren Sanchez had already carved her name into multiple industries before Jeff Bezos ever entered her orbit. She wasn't just a face on TV, she was building businesses, flying helicopters, directing high-level productions, and navigating fiercely competitive spaces where few survive. In any other context, her story would be celebrated. But because she now stands beside the world's richest man, everything she's done has been reframed not as success, but as strategy. Suddenly, every photo becomes suspicious. Every public appearance invites questions. Is she securing a legacy? Calculating optics? Playing some long game? It's as if the world has decided that no woman could possibly love a billionaire without a secret agenda. Meanwhile, when the roles are reversed, when a man marries into wealth, the tone is gentler, the assumptions softer. The whispers exist, but the identity remains intact. For women like Lauren, though, love comes with a price, the cost of constantly defending who they are. This kind of double standard isn't new. It's a recycled storyline Hollywood has pushed for decades. From Anna Nicole Smith to even Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. Powerful women connected to wealthy men have always been forced to defend the legitimacy of their love as if it couldn't exist without money as a motive. With Lauren Sanchez, we're just seeing the same narrative rebranded for the social media era. Faster, louder, and more relentless. And now it's not just about wealth. It's about age, appearance, and how women are expected to fade quietly while men grow more distinguished. Sanchez, who is polished, stylish, and unapologetically glamorous, finds herself criticized for the very things male celebrities are praised for. If a man maintains his looks and confidence in his 50s, he's seen as powerful. When a woman does the same, she's called manipulative, trying too hard, or seeking attention. Lauren stands right in the middle of these contradictions, admired and mocked in the same breath, complimented and questioned at the same time. It's a no-win scenario because the rules were never made for her to succeed. Her wedding to Jeff Bezos wasn't just a celebration of love, it was turned into a media event dissected like a political debate. From her dress to the venue to the seating chart, every element was analyzed not just for style, but for meaning. And beneath all the curiosity lay the same pointed question: why her? As if love alone wasn't reason enough. As if she must have orchestrated something behind the scenes to secure a man like Bezos, using her beauty, her confidence, even her timing as tools of manipulation. It's a narrative built on suspicion, and for women like Sanchez, it never really goes away. It's a narrative pulled straight from the shadows of Hollywood, one that dismisses the idea of real connection and reduces love to a transaction. Because when money and fame enter the picture, the world stops believing in sincerity. And for women like Lauren Sanchez, that disbelief becomes a trap. Every gesture is dissected. Every appearance becomes a performance to be judged. Smile too brightly and she's flaunting her prize. Smile too little and she's cold calculating. Stand beside her husband too often? She's clinging to power. Focus on her own career? She's disloyal. The contradictions are endless, and eventually it's clear that the issue isn't who she is, but that society refuses to let her be anything but a stereotype. This is the impossible maze women in her position face. Once they enter the world of extreme wealth and public obsession, their individuality is stripped away. They become icons, villains, muses, everything except real people. In the public eye, she's no longer Lauren Sanchez, the pilot, the producer, or the media entrepreneur. She's just Jeff Bezos' wife. And that quiet erasure, that theft of her identity, may be the cruelest judgment of all. Because it denies her story, her agency, and her dignity. But what makes her situation so compelling and so tragic is that it mirrors something much bigger. It's not just about her. It's about how our culture feeds on drama and hunts for scandal, turning every high-profile romance into a trial by public opinion. The same machine that chewed through Meghan Markle is now focused on Sánchez, a cycle of scrutiny that never truly ends. The same cloud of suspicion once hung over Marla Maples. The same scrutiny followed Elizabeth Taylor through every headline and every vow. Hollywood loves a fairy tale, but it lives to unravel one even more. Lauren Sanchez didn't sign up for this legacy, but the moment she stepped into the spotlight beside Jeff Bezos, she inherited a story written long before her. In the weeks before her wedding, media frenzy hit a fever pitch. Every tabloid, blog, and outlet wanted in. Was she ready for the title Mrs. Bezos? Would she abandon her career? Would she disappear into private luxury or double down on public life? And with every article, one message stayed the same. No matter what choice she makes, it won't be the right one. Because when a woman marries immense wealth, happiness is no longer enough. She must prove, explain, and defend her intentions to a world that's already made up its mind. The truth is, no one outside their relationship will ever fully understand what drew Bezos and Sanchez together, and it shouldn't matter. But in a culture obsessed with optics, it matters more than anything. Their story isn't allowed to exist as just love, it's picked apart as a symbol of power, of beauty, of age, of ambition. And no matter how personal her truth is, it will always be overshadowed by the public's version of her. That's the tragedy for women like Sánchez. Their character is sentenced long before the story even starts. In Hollywood, true love is rarely allowed to be just that. From the first leaked photo, a relationship becomes mythology. A kiss becomes currency. And Sánchez's marriage to Bezos now joins a long line of romantic legends that the media couldn't resist rewriting. Some of the most iconic women in entertainment have walked this same path, and nearly all were met with the same toxic mix of admiration, suspicion, and envy. Just like Elizabeth Taylor, who was celebrated and dissected in equal measure. She faced scrutiny so fierce, it often overshadowed her brilliance as one of the most gifted actresses of her time. With every marriage, Elizabeth Taylor endured whispers about her intentions, questions about her honesty, and doubts tied to money, even though she was wealthy, powerful, and undeniably successful on her own. Yet the same questions dogging Lauren Sanchez today: why him? Why now? What does she want? Have echoed through decades, revealing a deeper truth about how society views women linked to extraordinary men. No matter their talent or achievements, women are judged primarily by the wealth and status of their partners, as if their identity exists only beside a man. Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis is another poignant example. When she married Aristotle Onassis, the billionaire shipping magnate, history failed to remember her as the widow of JFK or the mother of his children. Instead, she was painted as a woman who traded love for fortune, her reputation stained by scornful headlines and judgmental whispers. Like Lauren Sanchez, Jackie became a symbol of the toxic stereotype that wealthy wives are always schemers. And today, Sanchez faces an even harsher spotlight because in the age of the internet, gossip never fades. Every harsh headline, every tabloid rumor, every viral social media post becomes etched into an endless digital record, making the battle for dignity even harder to win. No matter how many years Lauren Sanchez spends building businesses, giving back, or simply living under the radar, the headline that will always resurface is that she married a billionaire. It's a cage made not of bars, but of endless words and public perception, one that women like her rarely break free from. The irony is sharp. Jeff Bezos himself faces criticism for his wealth, his empire, and his decisions. But when it comes to his marriage, his motives rarely come under scrutiny. No one wonders if he married Lauren for her looks, her charm, or her social influence. Yet those very questions endlessly hover over her. This marriage exposes a harsh truth about our biases. Society is quick to see women as schemers, but struggles to accept that men might be vulnerable to love or attraction. The double standard is glaring, yet it persists time and again. Hollywood's history is full of women remembered less for their own achievements and more for the men they married. Think of Marla Maples, forever tagged as Donald Trump's ex-wife despite her own career in acting and television. Or Meghan Markle, whose successful acting career seemed to vanish the moment she became Duchess of Sussex. Suddenly, the story shifted from Meghan the individual to Meghan the wife, the outsider, the woman whose every gesture was dissected for hidden meaning. Lauren Sanchez now lives in that same spotlight. Every dress, every event, every glance with Bezos becomes headline fodder, analyzed and debated. And this leads us to another crucial part of the story, the role of spectacle. Hollywood thrives on grand images, and the Bezos-Sanchez wedding was the ultimate show. Lavish ceremonies, star-studded guests, breathtaking settings, it was designed to dazzle, and dazzle it did. But with spectacle always comes backlash. When people see such extravagance, their instinct is to tear it down. They want to puncture the fairy tale, questioning every detail. Where did the money really come from? Did she truly earn her place in that spotlight? Could love survive in a world filled with yachts, jets, and endless wealth? Lauren Sanchez finds herself caught in this exhausting loop. The bigger the celebration, the sharper the criticism. And for her, that spotlight is already blinding. This is exactly why women like her face a no-win situation. Had she opted for a private, low-key ceremony, whispers would say she was hiding secrets. Since she chose grandeur, they accuse her of showing off. If she embraces the role of the devoted wife, critics say she's sacrificed her independence. If she keeps chasing her own ambitions, they claim she's exploiting her husband's status. These endless contradictions aren't mistakes, they're the very rules of the game for women in the public eye. It's never about uncovering the truth. It's about making sure no matter what path she takes, the judgment never fades. Age adds another complex layer to this story. Lauren Sanchez is a glamorous, confident woman in her 50s, bold and unapologetic, and for many, that alone feels threatening in an industry obsessed with eternal youth. When an older man marries a younger woman, it's often dismissed as routine or expected. But when a striking woman in her 50s becomes the partner of the richest man alive, speculation and suspicion flood in. Critics say she's clinging to youth, using her beauty as a form of power, or competing with younger rivals. The truth? She's simply living her life on her own terms. Yet the narrative twists her into a villain of a story she never chose to star in. What makes this saga so compelling isn't just Lauren Sanchez herself, it's a reflection of the celebrity culture at large. Hollywood thrives on scandal-building stars up only to tear them down with equal intensity. Sanchez is just the latest figure caught in this relentless cycle. She embodies the themes tabloids crave: money, beauty, age, power, betrayal. Even if these don't capture her true story, they become the shorthand that keeps her front and center in headlines. And for the audience consuming this endless drama, fairness is irrelevant. It's the spectacle that matters most. That's why the marriage of Sanchez and Bezos feels less like a private love story and more like a public event, a performance for the culture itself. Because in Hollywood, no one just marries quietly. Every union must be either a fairy tale or a scandal, or sometimes both at once. In this case, the image of a glamorous couple sailing off into the sunset on yachts is always shadowed by a whisper. Maybe it's not real. That whisper becomes the headline. The headline becomes the story. The story becomes the truth everyone believes. But the question worth asking is this: why does society insist on framing these stories this way? Why do we demand proof of sincerity from women like Lauren Sanchez, but rarely question their partners? Why are we so quick to believe in manipulation over genuine love? Maybe the answer lies in our discomfort with women who don't fit into neat, familiar boxes. A woman who is ambitious, glamorous, outspoken, and married to unimaginable wealth defies simple categorization. She can't be neatly labeled victim or saint, so instead she's branded as the schemer, the opportunist, the manipulator. It's far easier to reduce her identity than to accept the complex reality of who she is. Ironically, this oversimplification reveals more about our own biases than about her true self. While Lauren Sanchez faces relentless scrutiny, she keeps living her life, building her identity both inside and beyond this high-profile marriage. She continues to face and navigate impossible contradictions that society imposes on her. The real scandal isn't whether she married for love or money, it's how quickly the world decided her choices were never truly her own. When people talk about Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez, the spotlight often falls squarely on her as if she's the one under interrogation. But the truth is, her story cannot be fully told without recognizing the immense influence of the man she married. Jeff Bezos is no ordinary celebrity. He's one of the richest and most powerful figures alive, the visionary founder of Amazon, a company that has revolutionized global commerce. A man whose choices send shockwaves through industries, politics, and even the frontier of space exploration. When someone like Jeff Bezos marries, the person beside him inevitably gets pulled into the orbit of his vast influence. For Lauren Sanchez, this influence has been both a blessing and a burden. On one side, Bezos' name unlocks doors that her own career had already cracked open, but now swing wide with greater speed and intensity. She now sits at tables where decisions about the future of media, space travel, and philanthropy are shaped. Her involvement with Blue Origin and her passion for aerial filmmaking show she's far more than a passive observer in his ventures. She's an active participant. Yet on the flip side, his power casts a shadow over her every move. Every business venture faces skepticism. Every public appearance undergoes intense scrutiny. Every project is viewed as something she could never have accomplished on her own. This is the paradox of marrying into immense power. It amplifies your strengths, but it also threatens to erase your individuality. The media fuels this erasure by framing stories about Lauren Sanchez almost always through the lens of Bezos first, then her. Even when her achievements are highlighted, they come trailing behind the headline that she's the woman beside the richest man alive. This narrative molds the audience's perception, conditioning them to see her primarily as an extension of him, not as her own person. Though she has agency and her own identity, Lauren often becomes the supporting character in a story where the billionaire is always the star. Ironically, the harshest judgments land on her shoulders. Take how tabloids cover them. A casual photo of Bezos and Sanchez on a yacht isn't framed as a wealthy man enjoying life. It zeroes in on her outfit, her smile, her body language. The question is never about him. It's always, what's she doing? What's her angle? What's she gaining? The media's gaze fixates on her not to celebrate, but to weaponize her visibility, turning everyday moments into so-called proof in an endless trial, with no verdict, only relentless scrutiny. She's simultaneously omnipresent and invisible, appearing in every shot, but erased from the narrative of her own life. This isn't a new Hollywood story, but Bezos' towering influence makes it far more intense. When a traditional star marries outside their field, the buzz lasts months, then fades. But Bezos isn't just any celebrity. He's a global powerhouse intertwined with money, tech, and politics. His marriage sparks conversations far beyond romance, becoming a symbol of inequality, capitalism, privilege, and the mystique of the 1%. Because Sanchez stands beside him, she's cast as the face of these debates, whether she wants to be or not, and despite having little say in the story's direction. Another dimension is philanthropy. Bezos is carefully crafting an image of generosity, from space projects to climate initiatives to massive charitable gifts, and Sanchez is regularly seen by his side at these high-profile events. Even in the realm of philanthropy, suspicion shadows Lauren Sanchez. When she speaks with passion, critics claim she's leveraging the platform to boost her own brand. When she stays quiet, they say she lacks depth or genuine interest. It's a no-win scenario where sincerity is doubted and silence becomes a flaw. Authenticity has no place here, scandal does. This is where media manipulation becomes painfully clear. Coverage of the Bezos-Sanchez marriage is tailored to fit familiar storylines. The glamorous woman, the billionaire husband, the fairy tale turned sour, the ambitious outsider trying to break in. These cliches keep resurfacing because they sell, they attract clicks, ignite debates, and fuel endless speculation across social media and comment sections. Accuracy or fairness matters far less than engagement. As a result, Sanchez's public image turns into a scripted role, crafted by the media rather than a truthful reflection of her life. Bezos' vast media influence adds another layer of complexity. Owning the Washington Post, a respected American newspaper, he keeps a hands-off approach editorially, yet his media ties stir questions about how narratives are shaped, defended, or undermined. This creates a paradox. Even if Bezos doesn't interfere, the perception of his media power taints any positive coverage of Sanchez as suspect, while negative stories seem like retaliatory attacks. The truth often gets lost in a tangled web of assumptions about influence and control, where Lauren Sanchez's true identity fades into the background noise. This pattern is far from new. Women married to powerful men have long been targets of harsh criticism. Nancy Reagan was blamed for steering Ronald Reagan's presidency. Yoko Ono was accused of breaking up the Beatles, and Amal Clooney faces intense scrutiny each time she appears beside George Clooney on the red carpet. Despite being a highly accomplished figure in her own right, Sanchez finds herself trapped in this age-old narrative. reduced to an accessory and judged far more harshly than the man she stands beside. The irony lies in the contradictions that fuel public fascination. People are captivated by the fairy tale life Bezos and Sánchez appear to live, with yachts, private islands, and luxury beyond imagination. Yet that very perfection becomes a target seen as too glamorous, too privileged, and too distant to be real. Their marriage is both celebrated in glossy spreads and torn apart in tabloid headlines, admired and reviled for the same reasons. This ongoing tension guarantees the story never truly ends. As long as they remain in the spotlight, the cycle of admiration and criticism will relentlessly continue. And here lies a sobering truth about celebrity culture. We're not just passive observers, we actively participate. Every click on a Sánchez headline, every shared photo or repeated rumor feeds the relentless machine that distorts her into a mere caricature. We become part of a system that guarantees she can never truly win, no matter what she does. In this sense, the real story extends beyond hair. It's about us, about how we consume celebrity as both entertainment and judgment, how we project our own desires and insecurities onto other people's lives. For Lauren Sánchez, existing in this space demands a delicate balance few could maintain. She must smile publicly, even knowing that smile will be analyzed and criticized. She must stand by her husband, even when that loyalty is dismissed as opportunism. She must chase her passions, even as they're labeled self-promotion. And perhaps most painfully, she must accept that her love story will never fully belong to her. Instead, it belongs to the audience, the tabloids, and the cultural machinery that thrives on transforming romance into scandal. This is the burden of influence and power, the paradox of being endlessly visible but never truly seen. Her image has been shaped by the media, weaponized by gossip, and overshadowed by the immense presence of the richest man alive. Yet she remains standing, visible, resilient, impossible to ignore. When all these threads intertwine, Lauren Sánchez's story becomes more than just a headline about the woman who married Jeff Bezos. It becomes a mirror held up to society, exposing how women are judged by impossible contradictions while men often escape scrutiny. It reveals how swiftly public opinion can shift from admiration to contempt, how narratives are crafted to paint women as either gold diggers or naive fools, ambitious manipulators, or empty accessories, rarely allowing them the dignity of being complex, flawed, ambitious, loving, and human all at once. Lauren Sánchez. Every move she makes is scrutinized, not just because of who she is, but because of what she symbolizes: power, glamour, wealth, and the boldness to occupy the spotlight unapologetically. Whether you view her as a woman who ascended into extraordinary privilege or as someone continually confronting the world's harsh judgment, the truth is she captivates us precisely because she embodies these contradictions. To understand her story is to understand the workings of Hollywood, the media, and the human impulse to elevate women only to pull them down again. So the ending here is not really an ending at all. It's a cycle destined to repeat, with the next woman daring enough to live loudly beside a man of great influence. In that way, Lauren Sánchez has already made her mark, not only by showing us who she is, but by revealing who we are when we gaze upon her. And perhaps in those quiet moments, far from cameras and gossip, that is the truest victory she can claim. No matter how many times people say she can't win, she has already changed the game simply by playing it on her own terms. Please subscribe my channel for more unique and attractive videos.